Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. It's been a little while, but I've got another news story for you guys, and it's about Khanna. This article is from The Intercept, and it's a few weeks old, but it is important because it's kind of going into how Khanna isn't really a progressive champion that he was sold out, or he was sold to be, at least to us progressives. And he's a member of Justice Democrats, and their organization started up by Kyle Klinsky and Cenk Uygur, and they're about getting progressives into office, specifically Congress and in the Senate and House of Representatives. Jamal Thomas did a video a few days ago about how he actually endorsed the incumbent Democrat that was going against a Justice Democrat. So Jamar Thomas, he ripped him to shreds a little bit. And it was pretty good. Called him a rat and all sorts of shit. It was pretty good. Because if he's a Justice Democrat, he needs to at least look to see if any Justice Democrats are running against anyone and endorse them at the very least. So after he got criticized and he came and dual endorsed, of course that looks like a bunch of just horseshit, just dual endorsing both Democratic candidates, but at least he was willing to follow the will of the people that were criticizing him, mostly us progressives. So even though it did look pretty bad, at least he is open to changing some of his politics. So that is something we are in agreement over. But one thing he did late last month wasn't all that great, and what he did was propose a federal jobs for all bill. I like the idea of having a jobs for all bill, and we need some people in Congress to propose jobs for all bills. But his is some watered down neoliberal bullshit that actually creates more of a problem than it actually does solve the problem of most of the people that live in the United States not having a livable wage and that kind of thing. And the big reason why that it's not doing, or his proposal or his idea is not gonna fix enough of there's way too many people that are working 40 hours a week not making a livable wage is because his bill would provide public, private, and nonprofit employers a subsidy to hire temporary employees for up to 18 months at a time, with opportunities to extend the placement for another year. So instead of saying, you know what, we're just going to provide jobs just from the federal government, so you get $15 wage, $15 an hour wage, and we're going to provide you with other good benefits like health care. We're going to give you paid time off. We're going to give you a nice vacation. We're going to give you child care for free. Throw in some other good benefits like paternity and maternity leave, at least 6 months, just straight up. You have a child, you get to take 6 months off. To actually help families provide for themselves and provide a good environment for themselves and for their children. He says, no, we're gonna make sure that people get some temporary jobs when people need a lot of good paying permanent jobs. And another thing that's a big issue with this bill is that he wants to subsidize private employers instead of just saying, hey, the private companies and these businesses aren't providing people with good paying jobs, and that's why a lot of people are having issues. They're saying, oh, well, even though private companies are causing a lot of these problems, we're still going to give them subsidies so they could still employ people. And of course, they're not always just going to pay people a livable wage. Because I'll continue right here with the article. It says, Khanna's plan, by contrast, includes a range of new caveats, time limits, restrictions, and income thresholds, in some ways mirroring the kind of public-private compromise that appears in the dizzyingly complexity of the Affordable Care Act. Of course, some of the problems with the Affordable Care Act is that it's engineered to make sure that a lot of these insurance companies are still making a big profit. Instead of just saying, you know what, fuck the insurance companies, we're going to provide people with quality health care and make sure people have a healthy life and actually go to the hospital and go to a clinic when they having health issues, period. Now they say we got to make sure we're going to help out the insurance companies by allowing them to still make profit by not providing us with health care. And then there's a few other issues, like there are no price controls, so on and so forth. But yeah, I'll continue right here. Because Khanna is clear-eyed about the fact that his plan is not the most progressive one on the market, explaining that his more modest approach is driven in part by a concern that a more radical intervention might backfire in certain parts of the country. I'll skip a little bit. Khanna warned that in communities where there's great suspicion toward government jobs, we need to give people a path and a choice to succeed in the market economy or to succeed in government work. Now, a lot of the problems with progressives, especially in the past, is that they didn't just come out with a strong voice and say, you know what, a lot of issues with the government is that they're not working to make sure that you're getting a good wage or you're not getting what you need to make sure you have a good quality of life. And that's the straight fucking fact. All these issues that's going on is that all these corporations are buying these government officials that make sure that they're allowed to get rid of some of these provisions or protections so they're able to pollute the airways or pollute our waterways, or make sure that they're able to outsource your jobs and send them to Mexico. Or what just happened recently with Supreme Court is that the companies are able to make sure that the workers aren't able to bring forth class action lawsuits against their employers because of the legal and heinous shit that they're doing. And what some legislators are doing is they're making it easier for companies to gut unions and bust up unions. And they're making sure that all these minimum wages in these states are staying low and not actually getting increased whenever a few legislators and a few communities actually say, hey, we do want to increase the livelihoods and the quality of life that people have, so let's increase the minimum wage so all these corporations have to pay their employees a little bit better than they are right now. We're also not just talking about the basic principles of these private corporations. Is they just need to say, hey, these corporations are hiring you so they can make a profit. We could put you to work because it's actually good for you, your family, and your community. And we could pay you a good wage because it's good for you and your family and your community. These private corporations are going to pay you a good wage because they have to, so they can actually keep you for a few years. We can actually pay more people a good wage because it's actually going to be a net benefit, not to prevent a net loss for communities and for all the people that live in your area and your and just your family in general. So there is some criticisms of his bill in here. There's some people that saying, that it's actually definitely not strong enough because you're actually not guaranteeing people to have a job, a permanent job, just straight up, and that causes problems. And there's a few other people that talk about how, oh well, you're going too far. This isn't good because what could happen is people will leave the private sector and go to the public sector. And that's not good for politics. But then again, if you just sell the American people that, hey, the private sector is not really providing people with livable wages and the government can do it straight up. And then those people that are making a higher wage in the public sector will actually pay more in taxes and actually be able to afford to buy more of the goods and services that they need and it's actually going to spread some of the wealth out to other people throughout the economy. So paying workers is a good way to keep a healthy economy, because of course our economy is based on just buying and selling goods. So when people buy stuff, it's good for economy. So money could flow between people and businesses, and between businesses and people, or just people and other people. When people buy stuff just from other individuals. But the big issue is that he just starts out compromising with Republicans on making sure that it's corporate friendly or business friendly. So whenever if they he actually does propose it, it could actually get watered down even worse than this thing is already. And we need stronger proposals about really just providing jobs for people than trying to make sure the public sector could get a bunch of subsidies that they don't really need, because a bunch of especially big businesses and big corporations are already making record profits, and they don't need any subsidies to hire any fucking body.